Hi there, welcome back to Riella's Army of Dolls, where I share my love of fashion dolls with you. And today is another Defa Lucy day, as I've got two brand new dolls to open with a brand new body to boot. It is so hard to believe how far Defa Lucy have come in such a short amount of time. Only about a year ago, they were really only known as a clone doll line, selling cheap fashion dolls on Shein and Temu. And now, one of the most sought after collector lines out there. These dolls sell for upwards of $300 US on eBay. Pretty crazy. Starting out with the first one. The first series was called the Icon series, and this was the very first doll in the line with her red hair and her sort of catwalk take on office fashion. I didn't always love the fashions from the Icon line. They did seem to focus too much on sort of high-end winter wear, which I found a little odd, but nonetheless, the designs are pretty unique and cool. She also has a really striking face, and the makeup is quite beautiful. I particularly love these two, who are the ones I have kept. This one is Lunar, and I love her straight and very stark hairstyle, which I think is really cool. She also has a tattoo on her back, but I have been a little bit disappointed that it's not easier to show and highlight in the clothes she wears, but I thought this dress was pretty cute on her. Luna was also the first doll with a slightly updated body design, meaning that she does have a really nice sculpt to her torso. But I did feel, and you can feel free to go and have a look at my review of the first Defa Lucy, I really felt that maybe they were a little bit rushed in trying to get their doll line out, that they really hadn't perfected the body yet and were essentially just getting a playline doll in beautiful packaging with more high-end clothing and fashions. And I really do think that that's what we had. And she's a cool doll, but I don't know if she's quite up to the collector standard. So I'm really hoping that the entirely new body called the Glamflex body, that both of these new dolls from the Paris fashion doll line, which is the second line by Defa Lucy. So we have Icon and now Paris. This body, I think, is going to solve all the issues I had with Defa Lucy. I'm certainly excited to find out if it does. So let's get these dolls open and have a look at the new designs and that new body. All the Defa Lucy collector dolls come in the same box, at least so far, which is this cream front opening hard card box with the Defa Lucy logo right in the center. It's quite classy and beautiful. It really highlights the collector line that these dolls have become. This one is the first doll with a pale skin tone, and I really like the idea that she has this super light pink colored hair, goes with her body. We can immediately see how new this body is. We've got double jointed elbows. We've got a joint along the bust line. The other thing I really liked about this line of dolls over the previous ones is that we've suddenly got more like fashionable clothing rather than winter wear. And I know some people would have loved that, but I was really looking forward to seeing some more high-end and beautiful fashions highlighted by these dolls. The two have essentially the same outfit, just in different colors. So this doll with the dark skin tone has black fashion. We can see though that otherwise, other than the color, it does look to be identical to this one. They're both presented in a very similar way in the box. The key difference between the dolls, other than the skin tone and makeup to match that, is the hairstyle. The pale skin doll has long hair with a side part and the front drawn to the sides, whereas the dark skin doll has an updo with plaits in a bun. And I have seen a few people online trying to take this doll's hair down and kind of struggling and finding that she doesn't really end up with much hair to work with. So I'm definitely going to be leaving that there and, just enjoying her as she is. I think it's a cool hairstyle. I don't really feel the need to do anything with it. There is a kind of odd piece of, almost like a piece of fabric glued to the top, kind of like she's wearing a hat, except it's on top of her bun. I find that a little bit weird, but nonetheless, I think her hair looks really cool. dolls are free and they do look absolutely gorgeous. I am loving what I see of the new body. I'm looking forward to getting them undressed and really playing with those new joints. But so far, I can feel the hair, which is really, really silky. It does have a slightly greasy feel. I'm not sure if that's because of the siren hair that it's used or because it is a little bit greasy, but it's super duper smooth. The skin tones are incredible. This one has a really peachy tone, which goes with the pink in the hair, while the other doll has a really rich Nubian skin tone, which again just really suits the colours they have chosen. I think it'd be great too to swap these outfits over and see the two dolls in the contrast, because I think again it's a really cool thing about having both. They have eyelashes and they have little seed bead earrings with plastic pieces to protect their heads. Always get slightly concerned when I see plastic pieces because it implies that maybe there is a problem with the earrings, and I wouldn't have thought about that otherwise. But hopefully it's just essentially they haven't tested them, so this is a way to make sure. As it is, they look good. I think maybe if you're going to have earrings, you could have, better ones. I've always felt pearl earrings is kind of pointless. I also think it's a pity that this one has the white pearl earrings just the same. It'd be nice to have black pearl earrings to go with the whole theme. I do like the makeup style chosen. Again, this doll has a really pinky hue to every choice that I've made. So I love the peach pink lipstick, and there's kind of a purplish eyeliner over the top of her eyes, whereas this doll has a really nice plum colored lips that don't contrast too severely with her skin tone, and an almost like pearly gold eyeliner, but it isn't so bright as to look obnoxious. It actually looks really nice. The clothing is simple but nicely made. Each of the pieces is just a small skirt with snaps and a top with snaps. No Velcro, brilliant to see. And I'm guessing that in the boxes, we're going to find some shoes and maybe some other accessories. So this one popped out as I was opening it up. And we can see in here, a little package. So this is a purse. Super cute white purse with a threaded ribbon handle, and then we have a bead necklace in the same white pearl and some little panties. I'm interested to see if the dark skin tone doll has dark accessories to match, and her purse is black, which is cool. The necklace is still white. Again, I kind of wish that that was black. It obviously matches her earrings, but I kind of wish it was all black. I do like the purse though. It's very cute. And then the other box, I'm presuming, is going to be the shoes. And one thing this reminds me of that I didn't mention while cutting them out is that I actually really like these plastic straps that hold things in. Yes, I had to cut them, but I could do it very safely from the rear of the box. And I think that a really canny person, if you've got a bit more time, you could actually undo them by just undoing the tape, and you would be able to do them back up again. So in the box we have spare hands. That's always nice, and I see they're quite nicely shaped hands. And this tells me a really great new feature that obviously the hands of this doll are removable. Note that previous versions of the Defa Lucy doll did not have removable hands, so that is a great feature to know they now have. And then we have the boots. I can't tell what that is. I think maybe gloves sitting on the boots. The boots are nice fabric chunky boots with plastic heels and fabric tops, similar to the Lunar boots I had, which when I reviewed that doll, and feel free to go and have a look at my review of the Lunar doll as well, I did comment on how this was an upgrade, that the first dolls had plastic sculpted boots and now they have fabric and bases. Same thing here. There is an extra feature of the elastic insert. They're still, chunky sort of streetwear boots. I'd like to see some fashion shoes done as well, but I guess in the end it doesn't really matter. It's what they've chosen to go with the outfit, but I'm not sure how these boots will look on the new high heel sculpted feet, because these dolls have feet much more along the lines of Barbie and Integrity toys than the previous Defa Lucy. So we'll see how those go on the boots. I'm not totally convinced yet. I'm assuming that in the other box we're going to find the same accessories but in the different colour tone. So we have the peach pink hands here to go on that doll, and then we have the white boots, a little bit easier to see the features with the white colour but identical, and white gloves. All very cool. So let's get them dressed up in their full outfits so we can see how all this looks. So there we have our Defa Lucy twins, and each doll comes with a hard-based stand that is telescoping and has a little hook at the top for the doll to stand on. They are identical, which I would expect. No colour coding to the doll. They stand reasonably well, though I would say a little pet peeve is that these stands do not hook well onto the doll, and I find that they like to fall over, especially if there's, a slight lean or anything like that. So it can be a little bit tricky to keep them upright, as you can see here. I'm not sure, because my table is on a tiny bit of a lean, if I will be able to keep the dolls upright here, but I will do my best. As you can see, I did manage to get both ladies standing. I turned the table around so they're kind of leaning up instead of leaning forward, and that helped. But to be honest, it still isn't perfect. You might notice the sort of odd position of the stand, perfect one, but I do probably prefer the Integrity Toys saddles. And now that the girls are dressed, a few things to comment on. I did like that the necklaces are double layered and have a single clasp. They're still not easy to get on, but they're pretty straightforward. The socks, I was kind of surprised to find are completely different between the two. The white socks are much shorter than the black socks, and one of the black socks was also very tight compared with the other one, so they weren't that easy to get on. When it comes to the shoes, my prediction was absolutely right. I feel like these shoes were designed before Defa Lucy upgraded to the Glamflex body. They really don't fit them at all. They just go on, but they're completely loose and are just not the right shape for these feet. When it came to the new body, I liked putting the hands on and off. That was very helpful. The jacket is lined, and the lining was really getting in the way of dressing them, and I just couldn't have put it on with the hands, even though there is technically quite a bit of space. As it is, I do like these outfits, and I feel like these are dolls now who really are competing with Integrity Toys and with JHD, because these bodies are definitely feeling comparable in terms of what they are capable of doing, and maybe even better in some ways. And I'm looking forward to seeing and making that call. But the clothing is still a little bit average. We can see the jackets are very loose. I think it's a style they're going for, but I think it also simplifies making the clothing. So I would say that yes, these dolls are now looking comparable with those doll brands, but only with the sort of low end releases of those brands. But they are gorgeous. I'm just loving looking at the faces. Something about these ones, maybe it is the new plastic they're using, they are just stunning. But I'm even more excited to see what this body looks like when I take off those clothes. Obviously, both dolls have the exact same body. Now, it is reputed to have 14 points of articulation. Now, I think, now that I'm looking at it, that they're counting each elbow as 2, because we would get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. I find that kind of interesting because in theory, I think the hip joints have 2 each as well. So I think we could possibly say 16, although I am finding that this ball doesn't move much. It's definitely a different body from the previous one in so many different ways. But it is good to see that side by side, they do look related. So we can see the bust, for example, is pretty much exactly the same between the two. And some of the sculpting around the belly looks very similar. We can also see that comparing the hands, they do look to have roughly the same hand sculpt, just obviously this one being slightly more refined. They are not the same body, but they have a lot of similarities. When we turn and look at the back, we can also see the buttocks area is very similar with these little dimples in here. But the new body just has a little bit more refinement and a little bit more detail all over. The biggest difference is the legs. If I put them side by side, you can actually see that there's something like a centimetre difference in length between the two. That is in both the upper and the lower leg. They each add about, I don't know, about half a centimetre. Otherwise, the bodies look the same in size. The torso looks to be roughly the same length. The new one is a tiny bit skinnier to the eye and obviously has the new bust joint, which allows her to wiggle a little bit from side to side, whereas this one is stationary. It is just a much more refined looking body. And what you can't see, but that I can tell here, is that this one has a lot more weight to it. Put her in my hand and I feel like I have, a physical item. Whereas this doll feels very lightweight, much more like a Playline doll. And if I compare with an Integrity Toys doll, we do have that weight similar in feeling. Like this one is solid. This one is a little bit lighter, to be honest, and this one is just quite light. So we're getting most of the way to feeling like an Integrity Toys doll. I'll compare a little bit of the posing today, but I might do a video later that looks a little bit more at the posing and a full comparison. But obviously some of the biggest differences and updates we're going to see are in the elbow being double jointed. I'm expecting that to be able to do significantly more poses than either of the other two bodies, because double jointing does just add quite literally an extra joint. And if we have a look, we can see that there is a significant difference. So this doll can fold nearly back so that she can actually touch her own shoulder, whereas this doll we get to maybe about a 70-degree angle there, and the previous Defa Lucy only managed about a 90-degree angle. So they are pretty significantly different, and this doll, I mean, that is very impressive. For a 12-inch doll, for a vinyl plastic doll, that is incredibly impressive posing. With the knee, we can see similarly, it is again double jointed, and I like that it's an invisible double joint, because one issue I have with double jointing is that I think that it can be quite ugly. But if we again fold all their knees up, we're going to see pretty similar difference here. In fact, even bigger perhaps advantage, because we can see the new Defa Lucy again, she's folding almost to flat, so nearly as much as a real human could. Integrity Toys is only going slightly more than a 90-degree angle, and again Defa Lucy is about 90, maybe even a tiny bit less. But the difference between the Integrity Toys and the Glamflex body is very significant for both of those. When it comes to the other joints, we can see, I mean, I don't know who needs to do total splits, but she can do nearly total splits, definitely more than most humans could, compared with the other dolls. If you really wiggle the Integrity Toys, you can get a pretty good splits out of them. It's not quite as much, but it's pretty good, whereas the previous Defa Lucy body only gets a little bit there. Some real step ups in terms of the amount of posing this doll is capable of,
and getting her actually pretty close to what a BJD is capable of. I think this body is actually answering a lot of questions and solving a problem that's out there. How do you get beautiful posing without needing to go to an elastic BJD body? And I actually think this Glamflex one, I'm really impressed by its posing capabilities. Her feet are very tall and arched, much more so than the previous Defa Lucy body. So don't think that really you're going to find any shoes that properly fit between the two. If we compare them with the small Integrity Toys foot, we can see they're also not matching that either. Comparing a few different feet, obviously the Color Infusion Integrity Toys foot is way bigger. The Fashion Royalty foot is just a little bit bigger, enough that I thought, oh, maybe she could wear those. And so I thought I would try on the shoe, but we can see, unfortunately, it's just not gonna fit. You might find some closed toe Fashion Royalty shoes wouldn't be too bad on this body. I was mildly surprised to find that even though her feet look visually a little bit bigger than the Poppy Parker sized foot, when I popped this Poppy Parker shoe on, it actually fits quite well. It is a closed toe one. I didn't have an open toe one at hand, but I do think that's pretty promising. You might find a good number of Poppy Parker or East 59 shoes that would actually fit her. So worth a go. I'll probably do a video at some point having a bit of a more in-depth look at this body and what it will fit. So keep an eye out for that.
So with only a few minor reservations, I do think these new dolls from Defa Lucy are brilliant. And it's really impressive to see what I think is a genuine upgrade to the fashion doll body. Not that it's better in every single way to the bodies we're used to from Integrity Toys and JHD. It's not, for example, the weight of it and the seam lines are a little bit striking. The hands were a little bit harder to get off, but the jointing is really incredible. And it's really rare, I think, to get a new doll where someone has actually put effort into improving a, kind of tried and true feature. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Yeah, but we can still improve it, can't we? I would like to still see a little bit more work going into making the clothing kind of more exceptional. But that said, at the price point, if I bought an Integrity Toys doll at this kind of price point, she'd probably only come with a swimsuit. I would love to see them actually make shoes to fit these dolls, but I'm also happy to find there might be some other dolls they can share with. My favorite is a pink-haired Paris doll. I just love the hair color and it makes everything pop. I also love the dark skin tone doll, but the hairstyle is a little bit unflexible. Both beautiful dolls, and I really look forward to seeing the new ones that come out from the Paris line. Can't go wrong with saying something is from Paris, can you? Paris, je t'aime. There will be more beautiful dolls to look forward to, so please make sure you've subscribed to my channel so you catch all the new releases that come my way.